What's going on, y'all? Today we got Charles Barkley exposes how soft the NBA has become. I thought he was gonna say NBA players has become.
When it comes to
That's
former
cool too,
NBA players who are in the media, the most outspoken figure has and will always be Charles Barkley. And when it comes to his hot takes, you can agree with them or disagree with them, but you always know Charles is giving the uncut truth.
And
recently,
he's giving it,
dropped
yeah,
some
that's a
gems
fact,
about
bro. He's giving his
basketball
honest
in
opinion,
2023.
bro. And I can
Charles,
fuck
like
with that
myself and
always,
many others,
bro.
think his era in the 90s was much better than today's NBA. As in the 90s, you had Jordan, his Bulls teams that won 72 games, some all-time great centers, power forwards, and a handful of Hall of Fame point guards. That decade undoubtedly was a special time. But looking past the 90s, at the 2000s, early 2010s, I would say those eras also were some of my favorite times to be an NBA fan. As in those decades, basketball was definitely more competitive, and the rivalries were on a different level than today's league. Back in the day, you had competitive, smash-mouth basketball. As when you went in the paint, you got fouled 3 separate times. When you entered the paint, when you went up for your shot, and after the whistle when the play was over. For someone like Charles Barkley, even myself, we miss the days of the old NBA. As nowadays, I think it's pretty obvious to everyone the players have gotten pretty soft. At this year's All-Star game, it was a glorified pickup session in a full court.
It's not even. I don't even think it's the players though, bro.
Contrast this year's All-Star game.
I think the players will play tough. I just think
and just general enthusiasm,
the NBA doesn't allow
them. The 90s players, at the very least, actually tried to entertain the fans. For example, look at '96. Shaq in this game absolutely obliterated David Robinson with a poster dunk. Why did David Robinson, with no incentive, no motivation, and really no added anything, contest Shaq? Because back in the day, players actually took pride in stopping a guy, even in an All-Star game.
Come on.
And even looking 3 years
talking
prior,
number facts.
With an All-Star game in Utah, the final score of that game was 135 to 132.
But I do this like every day, bro. What's wrong with me?
And the last point I will make in regards to an All-Star game is that back in 2001, they were one of the best comebacks in All-Star game history. As one in the fourth quarter of the Eastern Conference was down by 20.
That's tough.
Now today's players, they would have packed it in, called it quits, trying not to get injured and make it out safe. But back then, Allen Iverson led a comeback in an amazing 1-point win for the Eastern Conference. Once again showing, players back then took it personal to win an All-Star game and beat your fellow peers. And from a rivalry perspective, that was a big thing back then for players as well as teams. But nowadays, what are the real rivalries that are actually competitive? I guess you have Celtics versus Heat, maybe, Warriors versus Grizzlies, Clippers versus Lakers. I guess you could call those rivalries, but to everyone, they're pretty weak. And the best player rivalry, KD versus LeBron, hasn't happened in nearly 5 years. And when speaking about past eras, what 2023 definitely lacks is leadership in a figure like Kobe or Jordan, who sets the tone league-wide. As one of the biggest problems today is load management and taking it easy for an 82-game season.
That's a fact.
For
if
me
someone steps up,
if you're actually
and it's the difference, you know.
I don't fault you for
may
not
change
playing.
things like, nah, he's wild and we got to keep up.
80%,
things
I
like
think
that, man.
At the very least, should give it a try and go out there for the fans as well as his teammates. And still looking at that
That's
era,
crazy,
back in the day,
bro. I'm just thinking about it.
John
Imagine you pay for some tickets. You play you really came there for not even playing, bro. Like, what the hell? Like, come on. Y'all got to play the game. You're getting paid to play. This is ridiculous. I'm not paying for those tickets. Just, you know what I'm saying? And then, they're not even on the court who I want to be on the court. So,
Stockton, who 17
ridiculous.
different times played every game of the NBA season. And someone like Jordan, who played all 82 games 9 different times. In today's NBA, you very rarely have a player who plays every game and takes pride in doing so. One guy who does take pride in this is Anthony Edwards, who invoked Kobe, talking about load management and resting for games. And seeing someone like Ant Edwards be so anti-load management gives me hope for the future.
Anthony Edwards,
next
yo,
era.
He's one of my favorite players coming out of high school too, man. He's one of those players that I grew up on. I'm not gonna say we. I think most of my generation really was watching this. At least Anthony Edwards, Sharif Cooper, all those type of guys, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm loving this. You know what I'm saying? That's the right mindset, bro.
And to his credit, so far in his career, he's only missed 10 total games. And this year has played every single game. Now, unfortunately for us, someone like Ant Edwards is a rarity in 2023. And when it comes to the NBA now, it's off balance and totally tilted in one direction. When it comes to scoring, three-pointers, competitiveness, rivalry, and especially load management. And when it comes to Charles Barkley, much like myself, on ESPN Today, he called out Adam Silver for being a terrible and absent commissioner. And one thing that did for me was Silver a couple weeks ago came out and said load management was not a big problem for the NBA. Adam Silver is the only person in the world who's blind to the fact that load management is an awful thing. Everyone knows it's a problem, everyone knows it's an issue, except
it's probably
Silver.
Because he's making money off that, like just them the players being able to play longer. He could sell the jerseys for longer. He could get the tickets sold for longer. You know, it's just things like that, bro. It's a business at the end of the day, and he's running the business. You know.
One
but
guy
bro, you gotta.
who can change it.
It's entertainment.
And not even addressing
it's
the
entertainment
problem,
business.
I would argue
entertain us,
worse
nigga.
than the problem itself.
And
and
say
one
out here,
point I
man.
do want to nail home is that Adam Silver
I'm not
is
entertained.
lackluster and
I'm not.
absent NBA commissioner. As back in 2014 to 2016, load management was a sparely used thing by the older NBA teams, most specifically the San Antonio Spurs. But nowadays, it's used for 20-year-old rookies in Charlotte, OKC, Detroit, and any team. If you're 20 years old and a rookie and you're not gravely hurt, you should be playing and not load managing. Number one, because you're too young, and number two, because your team stinks. And basketball, like football, soccer, baseball, at the end of the day, it's a business, and the goal is to make money. But when you're the NBA, it's kind of hard to do that when your star players are sitting out, resting, and not playing in primetime games. And when it comes to the actual ratings, looking at the finals, primetime matchups, and especially the All-Star game, it's been a downhill slope each of the past 5 years. But luckily for us, we have Adam Silver, whose main focus is shortening overtime and fixing those rules instead of load management and players sitting games. And look, I do want to be clear, this video is not intended to be a rant bashing the NBA and the current players. What I am trying to do is improve basketball for the better and get more fans invested in the sport. As back in the day, if you watch old Kobe interviews, old Jordan interviews, they took every game, every matchup deadly seriously. And for someone like LeBron James, when he was playing versus Kobe, those games were must-see TV, and especially the All-Star games. Some of the best Kobe vs. LeBron moments came in All-Star games. And to both those guys' credit, in those games, they set the bar for every player. Now, speaking of leadership, like I said before, Adam Silver is a terrible leader and a terrible commissioner. And quite frankly, Silver not having a spine or backbone is the cause of a lot of the NBA's problems in 2023. As someone like David Stern, hate him or love him, ruled with an iron fist. What he said goes, and the players liking him never mattered. Silver at this point is a glorified substitute teacher, as his main goal and prerogative is being friends with the players instead of being focused on what's best for the NBA and the league as a whole, like David Stern was for nearly his entire tenure. Am I saying basketball 10 years ago was better than today? Yeah, pretty much. But that's not bashing today's product or today's players. I'm just so tired of the gradual decline in competitiveness, rivalries, and interest in the All-Star game and primetime matchups. And if this keeps happening, the NBA very soon will be in a dangerous place in terms of viewership and fans who walk away. So that is the end of the video. As As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.
And that's the end of this one, y'all. Turn on post notifications. Links in the description, man. I agree, 100%. Got to get it together. Adam Silver, man. I don't know what you're doing out there. You know what I'm saying? I can do a better job than you right now, my brother. I ain't gonna lie. It's crazy. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to make the game competitive and make some money. You know, you want to make some money, entertain us, my brother. That's how you make your money. You know, I'm telling you, for real. Don't worry. You don't gotta worry about players coming after. You don't gotta worry about your superstars, my brother. The superstars gonna come, gang. I'm telling you. These kids nowadays, they wild. The superstars will come, gang. Just chill. Entertain us though, my brother. Please. I can't watch this right now. Alright, but if y'all enjoyed, click on the last reaction right there on your screen right now. Kendrick Perkins saying some crazy-ish on television. On your screen right now. Crazy.